You're the CEO. That means you know that you have a lot of different stakeholders or parties of interest who can make or break your success. Who has to be in your network to accelerate your impact as a CEO? You'll know the internal people, and there's no doubt about that, but who's outside the organization that will really make a difference? The first thing I suggest is actually asking your team, who are the most important stakeholders in our organization? Depends on the kind of organization you have. It might be a donor, it might be a shareholder, it might be the government, it might be industry members. It doesn't matter, but make sure you push your team to get a list. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a new CEO come into an organization and I ask them that question and everybody draws a blank. Well, if you've joined the organization from outside, which most of you have, how are you supposed to know who's going to matter most to your impact as a CEO? Push for the list. But the most important thing after you get that list is to ask your team to help you prioritize it. There are some easy wins with stakeholders in your first months on the job. Think about it, your biggest client or your biggest customer, as a new CEO, if you reached out to them just even to have a call or a virtual meeting or a coffee, something in person, would be amazing. You think about the new way that you reset that relationship by showing up, by demonstrating that they're important. One of my favorite stories about a CEO that almost missed the mark was somebody who came in to run a large charity. They had a whole bunch of meetings set up in their calendar, and they ended up at a meal with somebody that seemed very important. The team hadn't told them that this particular person was the single largest donor of their charity. Now, thankfully, the CEO figured out this person was very important and treated them as such. But what they didn't do was thank them, because they didn't actually know the person was a donor. So think about that as a missed opportunity, but if that CEO hadn't picked up on those clues that this person was very important, it actually could have tarnished the relationship. Who's important and who's not, and how are you going to get briefed on those? And don't forget about the trickiest people in the group. Somebody pointed out by your team, or you might already know, who's very difficult for your organization, difficult for the role of the CEO. Don't hold off on getting to meet those people. Meet them. Be open. Help them express to you what's on their mind. That doesn't mean you have to agree with them. That doesn't mean you have to do what they're asking. But if you seek to understand them in the first months in your role, you may change the direction of that relationship. And even if they will be adversarial to you or your organization, at least you've now created a human connection that will pay off in the long run. Trust me, it will. So think about relationships as ways to create early wins, but also ways to offset things that will be challenging in your future. Because at the end of the day, the CEO only has so much time. So prioritize those people in your first months that will make the biggest difference for your leadership and for the organization in the months ahead.